not quite 1/4, and never just half, but the entirety of one primate, whole. It is the part of a story, an idea that means more to you than me. Hello and welcome to Full Gorilla Life. We are Jeremy Keene,
Larry Medina, and Corey Hewlings.
Each week, we will break down an important life concept or talk with an inspiring person so that you can live your full gorilla life.
What's up? Welcome back. Today we got Sam Chibaru.
You said it right, sir.
I got it right. He's the tour director for children's choir Imanimilele.
You said it right.
Nailed it. Look at you.
Look at you. Good job, Corey. Good job, Corey.
Wait, was that like a...
It's like I'm a professional podcaster.
Yeah. You're speaking African now.
Yeah.
Beyond American.
All right, so this is Sam. Sam, say what's up.
Yeah, what's up? I am really glad to be here.
Awesome.
I tell you what, Sam has a phenomenal radio voice.
Yeah, he does. Better than all of ours.
All of them. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's a
I don't know
phenomenal.
about that.
We might have to get like a new intro how you do it.
That's what I was about to say the same thing. Hey, Sam, want to hang out for a minute?
I don't know about that.
Welcome.
All right,
we appreciate
Sam.
you here.
But I'm really appreciative of you guys having me here.
Yeah, honestly, Sam, we're appreciative that you're here.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate that you actually, took a moment to...
We know you got a busy schedule. You know,
Yeah.
we appreciate you stepping in and have a conversation with us for sure.
Yeah.
Larry's going to go through the Gorilla Gauntlet with you, and we'll get to know
Sure.
you a little bit.
All right,
All
you
right.
ready?
Yep.
All right, so married or single?
Married.
Recently, right?
Recently, January 3rd, 2019.
Congratulations.
Now,
Thank
is the
you.
wife here too?
She is here.
Okay.
Now, did you do your
Smart
wedding
move, my
in
man.
Africa?
Smart move.
Yeah.
You did the wedding in Africa or
Yeah.
in the U.S.?
I did the pre-wedding, which is pre-wedding is a function that you do like a dowry type thing in our tradition. I did that in Dallas and then did the actual wedding.
Oh, that's right, because her parents are here?
Yeah, and
Okay.
she lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
So
She used to
you
live.
still did the dowry and everything here?
We kind of westernized it a little bit.
Okay.
Because
So, all right.
we didn't have cows and goats to give.
So what's a dowry?
Usually dowry is a token of appreciation that you take to the parents of the bride, and you go like, thank you for raising your child. You're not really buying the
It's not
child,
you're
so-
purchasing your wife.
Yeah,
It's
but
that
it's
you're
an
saying you're
appreciation.
for how they raised their daughter to be an upstanding woman.
But here is the interesting thing that makes all the dads with daughters really proud of, is that you call the price. The father calls the price. So in America, it would be like the father, determines how many donkeys and horses.
Okay.
Oh, really? All right. Okay.
So Keen's the only one. He's got two
I
daughters.
have two daughters.
We both have boys.
I'm very, they're still young.
How many donkeys do you need, Keen?
Oh, gosh.
A lot, right?
I didn't,
Now you gotta think about
1,000 plus? I don't know. I honestly, I don't.
So Corey would be saving up for Carson.
Yeah, I gotta save. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
younger guy, so if he's going to try to pick up Kavenna, she's going to be hard to
Yeah.
My youngest is very stubborn.
Yeah.
So Corson, if that's something he's, definitely.
a lot of donkeys. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we
Well,
gotta
you
have
have
property.
You have the property. You
Yeah,
could do
we'll
that,
just
and then you
start
get
storing them back there.
you get tax breaks.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
so-
interesting.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So any children?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Soon. When are we talking about?
Maybe sometime next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Soon.
It is soon. That is excitement.
So city you live in?
I live in Kampala, Uganda, which is the capital of Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
iPhone or Android? Do you have a smartphone?
iPhone.
iPhone. Okay. And by the way, for the people that are listening, he's like iPhone, like no
Yes.
doubt.
There
All
was
right.
no second
hand
guessing
motion is
that.
like
Which
get that
everybody in the room
Android-
can appreciate. We're
get the
definitely
Android
iPhone people in here.
noise out of my face. All right.
But with reservations. The fact that I don't have a headphone jack.
Okay.
That is
Yeah. tough. That
I'm
is
with
tough.
you on this. I'm with you on this. All right.
All right.
So favorite movie or book?
Favorite book? I would say because of my faith, I love studying the Bible. But I think one of the books that has really inspired me, it's about leadership by John Maxwell.
Okay.
And being in a position where I am leading and helping and guiding so many individuals, including children. We have 4,426. It's great when I seek out for knowledge pertaining leadership.
And what's the name of that book?
It's Leadership Strategies.
By John Maxwell.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to
My
read that.
father
So-
is actually who gave me a small book like this.
So not to go too deep, but
Sure.
like, do you have a favorite verse of the Bible? Because you said you love to study the Bible. Is there a favorite verse
Yes.
that's big? Like that's the one. That's the. If anybody asks you, this is the one you're gonna know and
Yes.
share.
And let me tell you this. This may sound like, well, everybody says that. But for me, it goes even much deeper, where it says, for God so loved the world that he sent his only son. Whoever believes in him should not perish. For me,
That's John 3:16, right?
John 3:16. The thing for me is the love. The love is what headlines out. And when I see the cross, I see love. That for whatever I have been, we as human beings are very judgmental. We pick on failures. But for him, that while we were still in our weaknesses and our shortcomings, he loved us. And for me, that stands out so boldly. And I wish I could have the same love for those who fall short against me, friends and all that.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to train myself. And hopefully God will guide me through. It's not easy.
Oh no, that's
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of being human, right?
That's true.
So, so favorite genre of music?
Ooh,
Yeah, I'd be
I
interested in this one.
love. Now on these, I love jazz. I love jazz. I'm
Who's your
big on
favorite
jazz.
artist?
Michael Bublé.
okay.
Michael Bublé. I'm a
I
big
love some
time
Bublé
Michael
too,
Bublé.
all right?
And also Frank Sinatra.
My man. Okay. All right. Yeah. There we go.
Someday. And
Yes.
this is now the weird part of me. I love Christmas music in and out of season. For some reason, it just gives me that joy. And each time when you find me listening to Christmas season music out of season, you know that, are you stressed?
Okay.
But you know
Because
what?
when you listen to Christmas music, all the everything that comes to your mind is happy.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, but that
and
speaks
all
to who
that.
I feel like that
Yeah.
tells me something about you, because if you're willing, you want to listen to the music that reminds you of the happiness all year round. Most people are so busy, they just like, here's the month, I got to listen to it. They're not really in it. Like
Yeah.
that shows that you're truly in it for the happiness of it.
For
So that's
the
pretty.
happy-
Yeah, and not only that, but it has like some religious connotation to it,
Yes.
right? Number one, number two, it's like Keen was saying, it's always happy.
Yes,
And like, how can you be upset when you're
Yeah.
listening to Christmas music?
absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
is Michael Bublé's Christmas Christmas album? That's actually a really good album.
I have listened to I haven't listened to him entirely, like in albums. I've listened to pieces and songs, and I just love him. I'm not the kind of guy who was attempted to listen to like a full album. I kind of pick out something that really
Yeah.
stands out for me, and that's how I make my determination that, I like you now.
Okay.
Just
Right
because
on,
of
yeah.
maybe 5, 6, 8 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever rocks up the most.
There
that's
you
on
go.
my list.
If you ever listen to his Christmas album,
I will.
It's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Mariah
do
Carey is my favorite though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For
You're old
Christmas,
school.
you
Her
mean?
Christmas
For
album.
Christmas.
Her Christmas album's outstanding.
It is.
I will
I'm not
say,
a huge
though-
Mariah Carey fan.
I'm not
but-
either, but it's outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, her Christmas, not to get off tangent, her Christmas song's like the most money made.
Yeah.
For like
her album.
yeah, in
Actually,
general.
I love some of Mariah Carey, like what's the title of this song? Glory, glory, glory to the King of Kings. And
I don't know the
Yeah,
title of it, but
yeah.
but you know the song I'm
I
talking
think I know
about.
the song you're talking about.
But
I don't
then
know
the
title.
other.
That is a Christmas album.
It's a Christmas album. I don't know the title of the song. It just skipped out of my head. But I love also some versions that were redone by Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
You know, the Christmas album.
Yeah,
They were really awesome.
You're talking about the 2 out of the 3 best like singers in our generation. in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like women,
Voice,
female.
female
Absolutely.
like
100%.
voices. Yeah.
You,
I'll give you that.
you can't mess with that.
I mean, music
Whitney's the
today is
other.
still so good, But there is something about the 90s. I don't know.
Yes.
At times,
That's our age, Sam.
That's what
It was
that's exactly what it is.
Mariah Carey, Jesus, oh, what a wonderful child.
Yes, that's the song.
Yeah, that's great.
the song.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah,
That's Keen, our young Jamie over here.
our young Jamie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for restaurants, reservation or just walk in.
Just walk in.
With the whole choir.
That's fair. I feel like that might bring you over to my side with reservations.
All right. So first off, how many in the choir?
21.
That
Yeah.
you bring
You
to
can't
the US.
you can't just walk in with 21
Yeah, you
people,
can.
Sam.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I thought he was asking about me. Not
He was.
the group.
So this is like an inner joke. They
I
are
know.
just walk in. I'm a
is it?
big reservation. But between the three, we have another family. We all hang out. There's like 15 of us, I forget.
Yeah.
And they just want to walk in. I'm like, we'll be here for 4 hours.
like,
If it's just like me and my wife and my two kids, the four of us, we'll walk in.
I-
They won't. They
I
don't believe me
feel-
when I say that. But
I don't know why. Something about walking in that is adventurous.
Yeah.
Reservation is like, and I don't mean to downplay
you're not.
that.
And to
Oh,
be
it's
honest,
okay, Sam.
No, and to
It's
be honest,
okay.
and they won't believe me when I say this. The more we've done this, the more I want to be the walk-in guy. So I've tried to become that a little bit. So
Reservation is like planning your own meal.
Yeah.
At times you like, surprises.
Yeah, let's
and
figure this
even
out.
when they turn out not good, they give you a good story. Somebody once said that.
Yeah.
Bad experiences
way you said
make the
that.
good stories.
Bad
Yeah.
The
experiences.
best stories. Because
100%.
I mean, how many times do you sit and you go like, man, do you realize that on the other day, I woke up in the morning, I wasn't stressed. And you'll be, okay. So what happened? You're just waiting for something.
you're waiting for
Yeah,
the.
I just woke up. Everything was good. That's all I wanted to tell you. Boring. But when somebody tells you a bad story,
Yes.
not that we should be experiencing that, but that's how you kind of try to turn the negative into a positive.
100%. So I'm reading a book right now. It talks about like how to write a story,
Yeah.
right? So it talks about how to write a story, and it talks about a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Now it says if your hero solves his own problem, the audience will check out.
Yeah.
Who cares,
Uh-huh.
right? So you want to have help,
Yeah.
or make it interesting.
That is so true.
Yeah,
Need a guide.
That is so
you
true.
need a guide 100% of the time.
That is so
I
true.
learned something every day.
Okay, so favorite type of food. I'm very interested in this.
On any given day, I will take
okay.
pork ribs.
Pork.
Oh, Larry. He's not a pork rib. That's
He's
awesome.
Now, Larry makes some of the best beef ribs
Yeah.
in the United States.
In beef
Ooh,
ribs.
damn.
Yeah, he
I've
makes.
never heard of beef
Corey been
ribs.
drinking too?
Now wait. But your wife's from Texas, right?
Yeah, she's a Texan, Ugandan. But yes, she's from Texas.
I feel like that's a good mix.
Your wife has heard of beef ribs in Texas. Where at in Texas?
She hasn't
Dallas.
really told me. She's from the Dallas-Fort Worth area,
They got beef ribs.
They
there.
do.
like 10 minutes
100%.
away from the
Anytime
the airport.
the rib is
Oh,
as big
from-
as your hand,
From
you've gotta be-
DWA.
So you've driven through Dallas then several times?
Yes,
it's
I have.
nuts, right?
It is so
Absolutely.
nuts.
It's
Insane.
horrible.
But for some reason, I don't know why there is some vibe I like about Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't mind Dallas, but
Yeah.
when you drive
But
through
the
all
driving
those
is
overpasses,
crazy. It
it
is.
is like insane. It looks like a roller coaster.
Now,
So have
let-
you been through?
Really? No, I've never been
Yeah.
to Dallas.
Let me
That's
tell you
crazy.
something funny. So this is an experience for a Ugandan. I'm not
Yes.
speaking for me, and
Yes.
I won't mention their names, but one of our drivers. So he's from Uganda. He drives the bus. So the group
Here in the US, he drives
We are
the bus.
in the US. He's CDL licensed. So we are coming to the close of the tour, and we go to Texas to start making our way coming back to Florida. And so we get into Texas, and the overpasses, were like a cobweb. It was very
Yes.
messy for him. So the GPS is telling him to go a certain way, and he doesn't know what to believe. His instinct or the GPS, because where the GPS is telling him to maybe turn and join another
Yeah.
kind of route on that whole cobwebby thing, it looks like
Yes.
it doesn't reconcile with what
Yeah,
he
and
says. He kept on going in loops and going circles. It took him 1.5 hours
Yeah.
to get out of there, but no one could blame him because it was so chaotic.
Yeah.
and that's
so-
somebody
well,
coming
like,
from
man.
Uganda. And I've been through Dallas on a couple of occasions driving, and the GPS doesn't know where you're at because there's so many overpasses.
Oh, it'll
above
take
you.
I know. I've been on
Yeah.
that. Like overpasses, and you're on one, and then all of a sudden it
Yeah,
tells
but
you to go right, but you're like, I
Dallas is-
can't. I'm on an.
Yeah.
There's a one-way street
Dallas
here.
is stupid.
So I
though.
can see that must.
Dallas is stupid. On
I
that.
wouldn't say that about it
It
because
think-
I love it there.
it
But
thinks-
that's,
I do too.
That's
but it's-
insane.
Yeah,
It doesn't
That's
know where
crazy.
the GPS doesn't know
Right.
where you're at.
kind of like being in New York City. New York
Yeah.
City, like it loses GPS all the time.
Yeah, but I think Dallas is
man.
worse personally.
Interesting. I've
But-
never been there, so I can't speak to it.
But on top of that, to be from Uganda and doing that, because I've had the pleasure and the blessing of having
Yeah.
Ugandan kids in my home
Yeah.
and staying with me while they've lived here. And
Mm-hmm.
always their first comments are how nice our roads are.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
you guys have dirt roads most
Yeah.
of the time. And
Yeah.
so I can imagine, they get here to Florida and it's flat and
Yeah.
really not a lot of
Actually,
overpasses.
it explains why many Ugandans are short. We have a joke for that.
Yeah.
That because of the potholes, when we landed in a pothole, we cut out from 6 foot to about 4 feet. But we tell people, you want a free massage, just go to the pothole. Drive through the potholes. But,
because-
yes, it's
because
true.
of that, that was
Yeah.
literally one of the first comments that these kids made to me on both occasions was, your roads are so nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I can imagine that mentality and life experience, I should say.
Yeah.
And then going through Dallas, which even me being from the U.S., I get to Dallas and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
The worst place is Jersey to
Really?
drive it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So one time, so I used to travel a lot for my work, and I had to go into just outside of New York City. Flew in Newark, drove into just outside New York City and Jersey City, I think it was. And
yeah.
and we were driving, and they have a thing called jug handles, and it's basically like you do like a circle to get out of the exit off the highway. One time, like every time it was wrong. And my buddy's like, hey, listen, you got to take me to the airport tomorrow because I leave a day early. I was like, okay, I'll take you. So I took him, and I was listening to the GPS, and it said, you have arrived. And it was like a crack house. I was like, hey, Frank, you got to get out, man. He was like, listen, I would feel comfortable because, I'm from whatever. I was like, but this is not the airport. I was like, you got to get a cab, man, because I can't get you there apparently. But yeah, New Jersey was the worst for whatever.
Really?
And what was weird is that there was no like high rises or anything in
Like overpasses that could get the GPS confused.
No, it was weird.
It was just interesting. Yeah.
It was odd, but yeah, I've been to Dallas and
Okay.
yeah,
Have you ever been to any part of Africa?
no,
Driving, because in 2018 we had the chance of going to driving through New York just to get the experience, even with our big,
city?
New York City downtown, even with our big bus. But we say New York kind of resembled a little bit like Kampala.
And I've seen videos of
It-
Kampala.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
We even have a joke. We say that traffic lights are suggestions there, which is sad, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you would think with everyone keeping lower and following the rules, it would make it more organized. But you find goats are crossing, cows are crossing, so the traffic is not only cars,
Okay.
but it's animals,
livestock,
people,
yeah.
livestock.
Mopeds, walking. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
so we
true.
actually shared a video this past weekend on our social media
Yeah.
where it had it was a video about Mumbai
Mm-hmm.
and
India.
and apparently it's the honking capital of the world.
Really?
Yeah, so had no idea, right? So we went ahead and I found it. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and post this. And apparently, if the cops put a decibel level meter, and basically, if it reached a certain level, it would reset your red light timer.
So if you got too loud, obnoxious, you're gonna wait longer.
Yes.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So
The video was funny.
Yeah.
Like, not funny, but funny because
Yeah.
people are honking at people that have no choice, but there's hundreds of cars and you're honking at me to move, but obviously you can't. Like,
right.
makes no sense.
And,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's because people will honk whether it's red or not.
They're just honking.
They just honk because I don't know.
But they do that. That's funny you say
Yeah.
that because they do that in New York a lot too. They
They
use
do
their horns a lot.
100%. Yes.
And it's so foreign to me because I don't ever use my horn.
I will
I don't
every now
think
and then.
I only to like get somebody to look up from their phone because they're at a,
Right.
a red light and
Exactly.
they're like looking down. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
and they go. But
Right.
otherwise,
Yeah,
I
for
don't
us,
use it.
in our country, you would hear the honking quite often. Maybe not as much as Mumbai, but you hear it quite often. Even when I'm driving,
Okay.
you know, I get to honk a lot. But for the most part, it's the warning. You know, like you see how here in America, one of the beauties. You guys have like crosswalks, dedicated places where, you know, people have to cross. And in our country, you know, someone will surprise you. You'll be driving and someone is looking on the other side, but you do not know that the next second they're going to be crossing the road. So the honking each time you kind of, hey, watch out. I'm coming. Don't make any bad
do
move.
that.
Yeah.
So you
So-
see people on the side of the road and you're honking to let them
Exactly.
know, like, if you start, I'm not going to be able to stop type thing. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So usually it's kind of heads up, and even when you're crossing, at times you'd be woken up, you know, because some people's minds is somewhere.
Yes.
You know, and
That happens
we've
a
had
lot.
so many accidents happen that way because one is absent-minded. Like one guy, I remember this story. It was in the newspaper. A guy I think had just been fired from the job, and he was talking to himself, just walking down the streets, and he's just, I think, like he had zoned out of the reality that's happening, that he's walking, and the semi was coming, and he just walked, and it honked, and
Nothing.
unfortunately, that's how he lost his
yeah.
life.
Crazy.
But back to the pork ribs.
Yeah.
What kind of pork ribs?
Just any kind. I even didn't know if they're, because when I see a rack of ribs, I just love pork. I love ribs, but are they
Bacon?
like bacon
Yeah. Like you'd take pork ribs over bacon?
over bacon? Yes,
Really?
I would.
That is high praise for
Yes.
the pork ribs.
I
Yes.
I
agree.
can see where
because-
he's coming from that.
Yes.
Definitely.
What do you
And
agree?
no, I would take the bacon for sure. And
Right.
I like pork ribs.
Like
man.
you love bacon over pork ribs?
I do too.
Yes.
Bacon is
Like,
bacon's so good.
like it's so salty.
It's so great. It's just like but you got to get the one that's sweet too and spicy.
With apple.
How long are you here for?
I'm here for 10 months.
In Vero?
No, in Vero, I'm here just until I'm leaving on Thursday.
Are you
But
guys,
I'll be back in November.
You guys are coming back in November.
Yeah.
You guys
need to-
flying out
we need to
from
plan
Corey.
Sebastian then?
And,
Correct.
we're going to be driving out, heading out to Naples, but at the end, we'll be flying out of Orlando. But of course, we
Are you gonna come back here?
Yeah, because this is where
You know where
We'll
I'm
do it
thinking
for the whole
office is.
choir.
100%.
We'll make
Yeah.
ribs for the whole choir.
No. Well,
and bacon.
I'm even thinking cardamons.
Well, we could do it on our new smoker because I'm building a smoker.
Yes.
That's a
be
good
cool.
reason to
Goodness,
have.
They would love it.
I like it.
That's a good
Okay.
reason to have. it.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
Finally
back.
something to use their smoker
Yeah,
for.
seriously.
Yeah.
Come back.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to get my craft going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm building a big smoker for them right now for cooking ribs.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
brisket. So
They would love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
for
right.
sure.
Like pork is the biggest, like, kind of
I
meat
know the
everybody
Ugandans that
loves.
I've had in my home, the children, they love the bacon. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because I was like, I told them,
You
I
sold them on the bacon?
I did tell them, they asked
Yeah.
me what the bacon was, and I said, it's God's gift to America.
Yeah.
Who's not going to try that at that point if you say that on it?
But then they always wanted the bacon.
Really?
We
did-
went for dinner actually the first night they got, or the first day
Yeah.
they got here.
Uh-huh.
I gave them bacon for breakfast with eggs, and they ate it. They loved the bacon, and we went to go get dinner. I think we were in Vero, and we are trying to find some place to get dinner, and I think we ended up going to Chick-fil-A. And they said, because they call you Dad, you know, they said, Dad, do they have the bacon? And I said, not for dinner. They don't have the
They
bacon.
do.
I
You
wish
can get the bacon with the
they
chicken.
did. We did end up getting the bacon on the chicken, I think, but it wasn't just like the bacon that
The
you
bacon.
not the bacon I made them for breakfast. I made them real bacon for breakfast.
That's awesome.
Did you try? Did you ever try giving them salad?
No, because I'm be honest, Sam. I'm not I mean, you can see from my gut, I'm not the salad guy.
And I'm saying that for a reason because one time we have the kids come and they go into a host family and they prepare this wonderful meal. They bring out salad. And this little girl at the time in 2013, her name is Maureen. She looks at the host and says, "So in America, you eat leaves."
I think I like Marine.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna say, like, I feel like I can be friends with her.
And believe me, it's not out of. And they're very appreciative of everything. It's not out of unappreciation, but we have different
curiosity.
It's probably more curiosity.
It was
Curiosity.
just so curious.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
Like you eat leaves.
All right,
Because
so-
we're used to having like vegetables each time cooked
Yeah.
in Uganda. So that's the difference, having salad the way you have it here is
They love
quite
ketchup, too.
different for them. Yeah,
love ketchup.
They love ketchup.
They ruined some good steaks with ketchup. I'll be honest with you.
Sam,
They
listen.
can put even ketchup on bananas.
Oh,
Anything ketchup.
Oh, Sam,
I know
listen.
that's the grossest thing you can ever hear
Sam, I'm gonna
until you meet Ugandan kids.
when you come back, I'm gonna make you a reverse seared steak. No put steak on. Don't put ketchup on.
I'm not the kind who would.
All right. So, what do you drive?
A Pajero.
Oh, what's that?
Mitsubishi Pajero. It's a Japanese car. It's a 7-seater.
okay. So it's like a SUV.
It's like an SUV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pajero.
Pajero.
heard of that.
Pajero. You
need to
you
sell
can type it on Google and see.
Tom to look for one of those for
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yes.
Our buddy Tom's looking for a car right now for his wife.
It's
Kelly,
Exceed Pajero.
look for the Pajeros.
For the Pajeros.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Yeah.
So Sam, do you drink at all?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Have you ever drank? Sam?
Yes, I have. Just only wine.
Just wine?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Do you like wine or no?
I used to like wine, but just out of preference.
all right, so Coke or Pepsi?
Coca-Cola.
Always.
Always.
Now, is there a certain one of the Coca-Colas that you prefer?
As
like-
long as it's not diet.
Okay.
Do you like the zero?
You said it's garbage.
It doesn't taste like
Me and my
the
wife,
original Coca-Cola.
That's fair.
me and my wife both drink Coke.
But it's healthy. Diet is healthy.
yeah, it probably gives
They're
you
both
cancer.
bad for you. I think all of us bad. Myself, my
there's
wife and
no-
I both drink a lot of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And we like the taste, but it's definitely not good for us.
No. It's not.
Me and my wife drink Coke Zero, but when we had the Ugandan children with us, we gave them regular Coke, and then they said, "Can we have the zero?" They wanted the zero, which I found odd because
Yeah,
I
because-
personally I prefer the full flavor
So,
too,
yeah,
but I
it's
can't
way
have all the
better.
sugar. Like,
Yeah. I don't take it quite often, but
Yeah.
each time I take a soda and I have the opportunity of picking out, I would take a regular
now, what about
Coca-Cola.
this? Would you prefer to have like a fountain drink or a bottle?
a bottle.
Really?
Yeah.
Fountain drink's number one.
Yeah.
As long as it's a good fountain drink.
well,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those feelings.
But
I
that's
don't
the thing.
know. I don't know what I don't know. It's just the unknown. For some reason, it's just strange because it's all the same, prepared the same.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
Right.
there is something about, when you get your glass of Coca-Cola.
Well, a glass bottle, because you guys have glass bottles.
yeah,
right?
we have glass bottles, which
guys don't
here
have
you put in
plastic.
like
I've had
the restaurants
soda
as
out
decor.
of glass bottle. It does taste better out of glass bottle.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot
Yeah,
of regular soda Coke,
Yeah.
but
And-
it's definitely better.
And the one thing to know,
It will be like somebody feeding you, like this is how I kind of visualize it. Like taking it from a fountain is like somebody giving you maybe a beer in a cup
Instead of a can or a bottle.
instead of a can where you the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's
the
a different
whole-
experience. Okay,
Yeah,
because you
well-
get the whole.
yeah. On top of that, though, right? Fountain drink versus a bottle. A bottle is always consistent.
Yeah, it will
Draft,
always be.
like it's not always consistent. So I could see that.
I can see where you
aspect
come
of
from.
it.
I definitely am where with you. I like
If
the,
it's a good
fountain
fountain
drink.
Is
I'll
it
take it,
because
yeah.
of the refills?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
fat.
it's the
know.
fat
I'm not
Americans.
sure.
We want the refills.
No.
No, truly,
It does have a
I would
difference.
rather it tastes better to me. That maybe there's
Really?
more carbonation.
I think it's the.
I have never even
'Cause sometimes
taken
it is, like,
notice.
Go to what you say. Sometimes you get like low carbonation, too much syrup, and it's like But if you get it right, like it's carbonated
Really?
correctly. It is.
And for some reason, to me, theme parks have the
And
best fountain drink.
this is the worst thing for the
Really?
environment. And I hate saying this out loud, but I think it even fountain drink tastes even better out of styrofoam.
Oh, absolutely.
But I hate the fact that it's
Really?
the worst possible thing for the environment.
My
but it
favorite
does-
though
Yeah,
are
it's
those
fine.
Coke machines.
What's that?
The Coke machines.
Oh, where you can
that-
like the
Yeah.
386
that can,
flavors.
boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
and put whatever flavor I want, right?
Yeah.
So
Take
diet Dr. Pepper, cherry vanilla.
That's
Try it, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom. Tom likes that one too.
Take a
So
Ugandan child that's been
you
in,
blend them.
Oh my god.
Have you seen those like at the restaurants?
Sam?
Yes.
You can hit all the different buttons.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's
and people
crazy.
like-
Yeah.
Each time I've gone there, I just stick to the one.
No. No.
I've never blended.
when I took
Big
the
mistake.
Ugandan children.
I should try it.
You
Listen,
could go
Dr.
Coca-Cola,
Pepper.
but then you could do like flavored Coca-Cola, like
Dr.
vanilla
Pepper.
cherry Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Try
Dr.
that
Pepper, cherry vanilla.
I'm sticking with what he likes.
Shut your mouth.
You add a little extra. Baby steps. Coca-Cola cherry vanilla. He likes that. Now try the Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
I'll try it.
yeah,
try that
when I
first.
took
I'll
the
try
children
it.
there,
Yeah.
I feel like they put everything in their cup. Like they were just hitting buttons. And I was like, I don't think I'd like that.
It all
But they
tastes.
drank
I used to
it.
do that as
you
a
know?
kid. I used to do that as a kid. You just
Yeah.
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 hit them all. That's a
Like for
By the
them,
way,
everything
that's the
is
longest
just
gauntlet
like
ever.
Yeah, probably.
It was great though.
All right, Sam, we're going to get into it.
yeah. We're
now.
finally gonna get to the point.
All right.
That's
So
our
All
favorite
right.
part. I think.
you're the tour director for Imanimilele Choir.
Yeah.
You said there's 21 members of the choir, but that's just
Sure.
who's in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
There's much more than that.
Yeah, the choir represents orphaned and vulnerable children that we currently take care of in Uganda. 4,426.
And your dad started this, right?
Yes, my father started
How long
this
ago did he
in-
start?
He started out in 1989, a very neat story, even how it unfolded. And he started out with 3 children to what it has become right now. Over
so
the years,
from
we've
3
had-
children to 4,000.
Actually, over the years, it has been over 10,000 children that have benefited from the program. But currently, we have 4,000. 1989, he started out with 3.
That's amazing.
So what made him start it?
So you want to hear the story?
Please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I come from a family of ministers. My grandfather was a minister during the times of Idi Amin, and I don't know whether you've ever heard, but for those who have never heard of Idi Amin, he was coined the African Hitler. He was the president of Uganda between 1970 and 1979, if I have my history right. And he was very brutal to people, but most especially Christians. So my grandfather was a minister, gave birth to 13 children, my father being the eldest. And during that time, they would have underground churches and kind of go and pray and minister to people. But, you know, it was very, very secretive because they didn't want people to know. But there were times they got so radical and they're like, no, we're not going to hide. We're just going to fellowship. So one time on a Wednesday evening, they're having fellowship. And sadly, the army man bust into the door and they started spraying bullets. At the time, my grandfather was in the meeting and my father was in the meeting. Some people died. My father jumped through the glass. And he was a young man. I started running as fast as I could. My grandfather just ducked under the pews. And then when they stopped, they started arresting the others who hadn't died. And my grandfather was one of them. So they took them to a prison, which is in a place called Makindye, which is just right outside Kampala. And actually, that's kind of our home area, like Sebastian would be or Vero would be. So they arrest him, take him to prison, and the price was they were going to be publicly executed. This really sounds sad, but at the time, to create a lesson, Idi Amin would order all community members compulsorily would attend a public execution. And they witnessed, so they were going to execute them. On the day of the execution, which was to be conducted by the vice president of Uganda at the time, his name was Idris. He was involved in a car accident, and he called off the execution. And events unfolded to the point that he asked the prison guards to release the Christians, thinking that maybe they had something to do with it. But so my father, that's how I say miraculously he was released out of prison. So, but like
And that was your grandfather or your father?
that's my grandfather. Sorry,
Okay.
my grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's released out of prison. He goes into missions, started reaching out to communities, and he would go with my father. That exposed my father to the service to community, the work of serving communities and going out to rural areas. 1984, December 24th, he's coming from a mission trip, and he was involved. My grandfather was involved in a motor accident, and he died. And as it is in most parts of Africa, when a father dies, the eldest son becomes the father figure. My father was in his 20s, and he now takes on the responsibility at the time, taking care of my uncles and aunties, his siblings, my grandmother, and the small church that my grandfather had started. It was very hard because when he was appointed to be the minister of this church, it dropped to 3 congregants. That was him, my grandmother, and one uncle of mine. The rest left for the reason that he was too young, in their standards to be qualified to minister. And so he faced a lot of challenges at one time because he wanted to raise tuition and take care of all these things. He had to quit school. And he started doing odd jobs. He would make like dirt bricks, and he would go and be a maid in people's homes collecting water for them. He would walk like 5 miles to go and collect water from a pond and bring it to people, and they would pay him an equivalent of like $50. And then he would try to get that to survive. And at the time, that was decent for him. To just do the simplest of things they could to survive. So and yet at the same time he felt like it's so heavy, so hard, wanted to quit so many times, but he felt like a conviction in his heart, like he couldn't walk away from this responsibility of serving communities as well, because at one time it was just too much for him. But he felt like I am called to do this. 1989, he started having so many like dreams about orphan children. Now, if you know a little bit history of Uganda, you realize that Uganda was just recovering from a period of war, because between 1979 and 1986, there was a transition of about 5 to 6 presidents, and each coming in by military coup. So I want you to visualize this.
In 8 years, there was like 6 to 7 different presidents. Oh, wow.
Exactly.
And not elected presidents by
military coup. So
okay.
It was war and
get them
war
off,
and
'cause
war.
I want to, and then.
And this is all happening in a small country that's about the same size as the U.S. state of Oregon.
Wow.
Okay.
So you can imagine you are in Oregon and another president comes in, and it's fire and
They wipe them out,
bombs,
to take over.
and so many people died. So by 1989 there was a lot of orphans. So he's having these dreams, and he's like, maybe it's just the situation we're in. That's why it's coming. But it kept on pressing, and the same thing would happen every other night. So he went to a friend and said, hey, look, I don't have the finances, but I feel like I'm being led into helping orphans, but I don't know. And this friend is called Rose. Rose gave my father a book that would change his life.
What book is that?
It's the biography of George Mueller. Now, George Mueller was an evangelist from Bristol, England, who in his lifetime, he's known to have taken care of over 10,000 orphans. Now, George was poor. In one interview they did with him, they asked George how he was able to help orphan children. And he said that he relied on his voice as an evangelist to just create awareness. And he believed in the word of God and said, I'm just going to step out in faith, and God will make a way, and people maybe will join in. So that was like the light bulb moment. He said, "Oh, if that's what it takes, I have a voice and I have a platform. I can reach out to people and try to see the best we can." So he started like that, rescued 3 orphan children from a suburb of Kampala. And when we say suburb, it's different from like the suburbs you have here. In Uganda, when somebody says a suburb, it literally just means out of the city, but it could be like a slum type place.
Could be in the bush.
It
where
could be in the bush, but
Yeah.
just right few minutes from the city. So
Okay.
that's what
So
we mean by
when you say in the bush, like, do you mean in the bush?
yes, like it's like think of like a woody woods, but having homes in those kinds of woods, and you know you
But
have
the
small
homes are like
pathways. The homes are made out
floor.
of mud and sticks, and they're huts made out of dirt and bamboo, and
So it's made out of stuff that's around them.
exactly.
And it's very interesting because, again, going back to the kids that we've had, you can definitely tell the difference of ones that are from the bush
yeah,
as opposed to ones that maybe have been in
Absolutely.
the orphanage for a while or they have raised in Kampala.
yeah,
There's
absolutely.
there's and not in a bad way or anything,
Yeah.
but the mentality, there's a different mentality between the two. You
Yeah.
can almost see, the ones in the bush are very survival, I feel like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
sure that they've been,
That is so
raised that
true.
way that it's survival.
Yes.
Do they view each other differently? Like if someone's from the bush to the do they know? Is it pretty neutral?
No, they really don't. Some would, because you can. I can speak for everybody, but what you see or what we get to see, you don't get to see that like they view each other different, because at the end of it all, they all know that they have one story. They all have a unique story that brought them, that
Yeah.
caused them to come, and someone giving them a hand, to try and restore their hope.
Okay.
So that's kind of what brings them all together. It unifies them that we are all trying to get to something, and we are being supported that way. So it kind of breaks away the differences, whether someone comes from outside the city or they come from the bush.
Yeah, in this case,
Yeah.
it puts them all on the same
It all
level in that
puts them on
regard.
the same
Yeah.
level in that
right.
regard.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying suburbs.
Yeah, so anyway, rescued those 3 children and started helping them out. Now he goes out into the rural areas, and he continued with his mission of trying to reach out to communities and sharing with them about the love of Jesus. And then at the same time, he's trying to find practical solutions to help some of the needs that he found in these communities, and one of those was the lack of education. And the communities he would go to, literally, there would be no school even in like a 20-mile radius. Not even one school. Not even one school. That is as real, like as tangible as that's what happened. And so he was like, look, the government had promised, we're going to build schools. And at the time, nothing had happened. And so he was like, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to do something for us. So they asked Moses, you don't have money, so how are you going to do this? He said, look, if we can have, at the time, they would have community meetings, like the chairman of a community or a tribal chief called out a meeting that would meet under these huge trees, so many years old. So there was a big mango tree in this one place where he was, with a big shade. And he said, let's start a school from there. If we can really have communities gather here for a meeting, why not gather children here to receive an education? So that's how we started. And then they outgrew the shade. And then he was like, hey, if we can build homes made out of mud and sticks and we sleep in them, why not build the same structures, but a little bigger, so we make classrooms? So community members again came, because it was utilizing what you have to try and solve a problem without
Relying on somebody else.
Relying on somebody else. When people come at the right time, we will be blessed to have them. But in the meantime, let's use what we have. We have dirt we have bamboo, we have grass. Let's try to make out structures. So this model replicated, and in 8 communities, we ended up having 8 education centers with classrooms made out of modern sticks, and students were getting an education. Teachers who had retired, some of them would volunteer to come and give an education. And so communities would give corn, beans to provide food for the students at the school, and they would commute and go back home. So that's how it started. It started out. And years later, when he was given the opportunity to come to the United States, through a friend, and he started visiting people, sharing with them about his vision. They came and saw the work, and one by one, a classroom block would be built. Clean water was provided in some of the communities. And then in 2003, he comes to me and he's like, hey, son, I know you're gifted in music. You can sing. Could you start a choir and maybe the children themselves become their own ambassadors? And I'm like, sure. He knew I'm also a music producer. I play instruments. So I got my skills to work to help with the choir. I started the choir, and the choir started in 2013 when they came. That was the first time they had come, to raise awareness for the plight of orphaned and vulnerable children. So ever since then, they've been telling their stories through music and dance and drum.
And they were one of the, or maybe the first choir of their type to come from Uganda, correct?
There's been a few choirs before them that have come, but it's right now when you go to Uganda, it's one of the most resounding names. We have a few that are resounding, but it's one of the most resounding. I would say the top 4.
In 2013, that was when you came to the United States, that first round. How many different places did you go?
Ooh, we probably hit about maybe like 40 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anywhere between 36 and 40. And this is what happened. We didn't have no contact. Except Sebastian here, where we had gracious people.
Which is pretty crazy, because Sebastian is a town of 20,000 people. And I say this all the time.
Small.
So how did you have, who did you have contact with?
So we're attached to a church called Crossroads Christian Fellowship. The pastor there, Pastor Mike Lyle, has known my dad for over 20 years.
How'd they meet?
And they met through another mutual friend who went during my father's visit, was like, I want you to meet this guy from Uganda. He really has a unique story. And so that's how they got to meet, through a mutual friend. And then Pastor Mike introduced my dad to Corey's friend, John. He's also a pastor there, who is right now an administrator for Imanimilele, the U.S. office here. So it was through a mutual friend. But anyways, the choir hadn't come then, but Pastor Mike and some of the members of his church had come to Uganda, done some stuff, built a well, and built a classroom, and they had done some work. So when we were looking for a place where we could call home, it just became perfect when he opened up his doors and said, hey, look, I may not have that big of a church, but I have some space that we can share. You guys can have an office. So we had registered with a 501c3. He availed an office, and some members of his church volunteered to be the first, to serve in the office. And kind of that's how it took shape. So when we brought the choir, it was stepping out in faith. Because with the exception of the contact we had in Sebastian, we had no other. But we believed, like the journey, he started out, saying, okay, well, we're starting under a mango tree. Well, one thing will lead to the other. It was kind of that kind of faith. I believe it will work. I really don't know how, but let's try it. So,
like
and at
this
times
podcast.
in life, you need, at times fear has held us back to achieve our full potential in things.
Absolutely.
Oh my
And at
gosh,
times,
does it.
you really have to risk, to do that. So,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is Crossroads, not to kind of veer off, is that the one at the middle school?
No, Crossroads is right on US 1.
Oh, okay. I know you're okay. I just want to make sure it's
and
the right
this is
location.
completely off topic.
I didn't mean to go that route, but I was curious where it was. I know where you're talking about
on
now.
US 1
Yep.
Yeah.
between Whispering Pines.
I know
there.
exactly where you're at. Yeah.
And this is completely off topic.
sure.
and I want to get back into that story, but before it leaves my mind, you guys ate chili on Sunday. Did you eat it?
Yes, I did.
Did you like it?
Yes.
You can say the truth.
You can say it's garbage.
Do you like chili or no?
No, I'm not a big fan of chili.
You're not a big fan.
But
Yeah.
okay.
But I had it.
I can't ask.
It is
you.
very off topic.
I was
just so you know,
I was trying to ask
agree.
you which one was better. It just came to my mind because my sister made one
Yeah.
and I made one.
Oh, now you put me in trouble. You put me in trouble.
What's that?
Is that what you go to church?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You put me in trouble.
And listen, I know my sister works for the choir too, but
Yeah,
My
and
chi-
she's really awesome. She helps actually
Her
You
chili's
don't
better. I heard you.
to
Sam,
book
I heard
the
you.
choir.
Sam, don't lie to us.
Don't feed into his ego.
My chili was better though.
Sam,
But I know they took it.
he never cooks.
Sarah, you mean Sarah's chili? Is that what are we talking about? Sarah's chili?
Yeah, the wife does the cooking.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. That was completely off topic, but
Yeah.
it came into my mind and I had to
know.
know.
So
Okay.
you just took a straight leap of faith.
Yeah, we took
Coming
us
over.
So yes, we had someone who had helped raise some money for us, and to bring the group over. So we were able to bring the group over.
Somebody gave you guys a loan too.
Yeah, they
correct?
gave us a loan, and they had given us.
Which you want to talk about a leap of faith there.
Yeah.
Well, so you know, and I'm trying to get into our listeners'
Absolutely.
heads.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No. I understand.
So you're coming over from Uganda.
Yeah.
Right. And you're making a leap of faith to come over.
Yeah.
Some people may be like, well, what do you have in Uganda?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you're coming over here to try and whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a huge leap of faith. Like that is crazy because now how do you get back?
Yeah. So this we had, of course, sat down and kind of planned out what we could, but we knew because there are even people who came and they were like, is it worth raising X amount of dollars that you need to bring the group over instead of using that money, because it's it's
And
a
you
lot
guys
of
needed
money.
to buy a bus. and
Yeah,
there's a
we
lot of
needed-
infrastructure that had to be set up. too.
Exactly. And they were like, is it really worth doing that? And when you explain to someone at the time, many people in Uganda that we made an effort to explain to, when somebody isn't really catching the vision, it is hard to reconcile their minds around it, because they're like, it could have done so much, which is right, which is true. But then when you look right now in retrospect, that hadn't the choir come, we wouldn't have had so many contacts between 2013 and 2017. As a result of the choir, we've had over 100 individuals come to Uganda, and they've either built more than one classrooms, water wells. They have done so much. A lot has been achieved as a result of the choir. So it has really paid off in a great way that it would have been hard to find individuals without having a face in the U.S.
It definitely raises awareness, but also becomes an investment. Like by doing this,
Exactly.
you know that there's going to be a return on investment of your time and efforts here in the States, because now you have, like you said, 180 people
Exactly.
going over. So that's
And even to think about the fact that not in as much as there's so many Americans who would love to, have an opportunity to travel, go to Africa and be on a mission trip, because of the different, challenges or limitations, many don't have the ability to. But when you get to bring the children and they are they get to commune with them in their homes, it becomes personal for them. And, if one individual came and maybe I come to your house and I'm like, hey, look, I'm taking care of these kids. The thing that makes this, a little unique, why we were really very intentional about bringing the group, was, as you all know, there has been a distaste around the charity, especially when somebody hears something from Africa. They're like, oh, well, the money is going to go into the black hole, which unfortunately is so true. And so we as a young organization, we knew that we are already in a bracket of what someone who doesn't know us might perceive of us when they first hear This is who they are. So for one individual to come and tell a story, and this is what it is, and they're from Africa. Some might think that, maybe I'm not sure, and not because that they really don't want to help, but because of
they don't know
bad people who have really tainted the name.
Yeah,
100%.
They don't know if you're going to be good stewards of their money.
Exactly, exactly.
And we've talked about this.
Them.
We've talked about this on the podcast before, and even just personal conversations.
Yeah.
It's much easier for me to give to somebody where I know directly that it's going to help.
Exactly.
And there aren't people taking money off the top.
Exactly.
And it gets to the end and my
It's
dollar
watered
turns
down.
into 10 cents.
Exactly.
Right. It's kind of like the whole, like, I have all this money to offload, but, like the whole scam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we were really very intentional about is bring the story to the people. And maybe it would inspire some people to come and witness the work, which the people were the choir. The kids were the ones to, when they came, people getting to know them. It inspired many people to I want to come. I want to see where you stay. I want to make sure whatever I'm hearing about you is true. And I just want to make sure I can interact with your guardians and just make sure I know whatever story I'm hearing. So some churches sent even ambassadors, to come and, like it says in the Bible, to spy the land. And they found that whatever was being told was exactly true. And even much greater, was the need. And so as a result of that, it created some legitimacy and people wanted to be involved, and many came on mission trips. And as they come on mission trips, God places them, because we never have wanted to push people give to this, because it can be overwhelming for people. We just want people to give cheerfully, but after feeling an inspiration whereby you are not coursing them into something.
Yeah.
So for those who have come and told the stories, it has created that sense in some way that it has inspired some people, and they're like, oh, well, maybe I'll sponsor a child. And then the last thing I would say related to that was the fact that when you hear the story of Imani, how it unfolded, and I've kind of given the brief version because of time, you get to realize that what makes it different is that when we started with nothing. Having no finances never held us to try and use what we had. So the commitment and the willingness to give 100% was already there from the very beginning, even before the funding ever came. So when the funding came, we had to maintain the same mentality and the same purest of heart of making sure, we are good stewards to what has been availed, because that's what happened even before all that came.
That could be a blessing, right? Because if you start with money, you just rely on that money, on the finances, right?
Yeah.
That could be a true blessing of, and I know it's hard, right? It's hard to start with what you had and get things going, but that's what makes you fight, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true, because we've had some hard times, when, of course, people go through some economic times. We've had to, because unfortunately we've heard of stories of where, when a sponsor quits, sponsoring a child, they tell a child, well, your sponsor is not helping you anymore. I wish we could. Goodbye. And for us, even when we've gone through those moments, which happen, so many times, we tell a child, we're still sticking it out together.
Yeah.
We're going to make it through. So we still, the same mentality, like you said, we still hold true to that, and we work it through. And whether it means, going somewhere and just telling the story of that boy again, or pulling away from some of our general fund, which we do, a big portion of our general fund, to help, because not all the 4,426 are sponsored. So we have to take a certain portion of our general fund to even take care of those who are not sponsored yet. So that kind of helps us to. And when these children grow up, we believe when we are true and faithful in our service to them, they will learn something that they can apply in lives when they're also serving out.
Yeah.
Because if we paint a picture of being bad stewards, that's what they will be.
Yeah.
So we are very intentional because we know these kids are growing up and they're really seeing, and you can't take it away from their minds. Whatever you are doing to them, they will grow up with. And so we don't want them to have a bad image. We want something that will influence them to be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Especially
that's powerful.
in a
Definitely.
in a country that's been so ridden with
Yeah.
war and orphanage or orphans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's on their mind. That's what a lot of them have seen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I know it's gotten better over the years, but there's still a lot of it out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they need that person or that organization to look up to say it's not all bad.
Yeah, it's not all bad, because you wake up every morning and all you get to hear, is situations, and can I say something also different that's really helpful, especially for people who go out into these missions and stuff. I remember the very first time when I set out and I said I'm going to go out and help, I didn't realize the trip was going to help me. So you see, I really, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I really feel disheartened when I watch the TV commercials and they're showing kids from Africa who are sad, with flies all over them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I come from Africa, and I have been in so many, really dire communities of Africa, but you don't see that, even because when you come from the city or you come from the United States, you've been exposed to much.
Yeah.
So you know better because you've been exposed to much. They don't know better. So when you go to these communities, you only find joy and happiness.
Like a real joy,
So-
though. Not
Yes,
like I
real
got the
joy.
iPad for the day.
So
like,
exactly.
So
Yeah, it's
I love
authentic.
that because there's a
And it
quote.
teaches.
There's a quote that I was just like researching really quickly because like I saw it the other day and it hit me because we talk about this all the time and we love to travel. Like,
Yeah.
And I love to travel because like it just brings to me a lot of experience,
Yeah.
a lot of clarity. Like when I see the news, I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe not, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, like the quote is from Mark Twain, and it says, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things that cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of earth, all in one's lifetime."
That's true because you get stuck in you don't go anywhere out of your town.
Exactly.
and then you see that commercial on TV and you're like, oh, the kids in Africa are covered with flies and they're really sad. And from my experience with them, that's exactly the opposite, like you said, And I've seen the I've never been to Africa, but I've seen the videos that, Monty puts on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Cuba 2 years ago, and it would be kind of the same sort of scenario where, and I'll be honest with you, like a lot of it was that like you would have like a upstanding building. The next building would be demolished, and people would be living out of it. But you never saw people that were happier, and that like it's just.
It's authentic joy.
Because, this is one thing. This relates to me in a sense of, I remember when I was a little boy and I stayed with my grandmother right in the bush, in the villages. The memories I have, and right now relating to what I do right now, is then I never knew that we were poor.
Yes.
But I could tell when someone has much more. But what was instilled in us even when we were young then was about communal living, sharing. And so that's why there was a lot of doing things together by the campfire, and the grandfathers and grandmothers would tell us stories, the ancient stories. And those are the things that would kind of bring happiness. You don't worry about not having, a certain gadget. And that's why when you even speak, you ask the kids in these rural areas, you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll tell you, I want to be a tribal chief. And they're like, what? You don't want to be a lawyer? Well, they don't know what even the term lawyer means, because to them, the biggest person in their community is a tribal chief who has like maybe 10 cows and 6 goats. And then when you see the need and you reach out to them and they come and still embrace you and hug you, you're like, as you're trying to pour out to them, they're also pouring into you that there is so much to life than, all the material stuff at times that we get distracted with, which it's a blessing that we have. But at times our minds can feel sad when we don't have that.
That shows, a true sense of community too. And that type of community, a government can't make you have the community. No. Like that has to be brought on within the community. That has to, good leadership, good elders in the community, good, whoever it may be, they have to instill that in their children that's important. Yeah. Because, even in the U.S., we have slums in the U.S. and there's no sense of community.
No, it's about taking from you to make or from better. That next person. Yeah.
And, that just makes the worse, really, but, they might not have anything, but they have everything in that community. Yeah.
Because like, if I break it down, like I was thinking about this, like if for whatever reason I was to lose everything, like I only need my laptop because that's how I make a living. And I would like to have my guitar, not because I play it all the time, but because I envision one day I would like to play it. So, but aside from that, I think I'd be okay with everything else being gone. So I can totally see.
Besides your family,
besides my family,
you'd like to have your wife and your
kid. Of course,
sure.
I think that's a given.
I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to
come on, Corey.
Sam. Sometimes I got to check with these guys, because it sounded like he wanted to go solo there for a second, didn't he?
No,
he's like, just give my laptop.
That's
my
an
guitar.
unsaid. That's not needed.
Shay, Mason. He does want you.
She knows she's coming along.
Okay. That's a given. Yeah, van life.
But yeah, that's honestly the way I look at it. Yeah, van life. If I was to do something like that, that, I would just want those 2 things, and besides my family,
4 things. Now, I gave him the chance. Now he went back on it.
Yeah. Shay probably wants you to have clean underwear too. So
it's fine.
See, you're already up in it.
It's fine.
Sam, so you said that people sponsor the children. They actually sponsor a specific child when they sponsor somebody, correct?
Yes. So what we have is when you sponsor a child, we provide them with medical, with the basics, of course, because $35 is not sufficient in reality, to cover every expense. But we try to get the basic, which is even way better than they used to live before. So when they sponsor a child, we avail those things to that child. Yeah. Because before I'll paint the behind the scenes of what happens. So we have X amount of children in the program. Some don't have a sponsor, and some have a sponsor. What's the difference between a child who is sponsored and a child who doesn't have a sponsor? The child who doesn't have a sponsor, we still help them, but they are living off what we are, stretching out of the general fund and kind of pulling all different avenues to try and give to them. We'll make sure they receive an education, but we can't guarantee their medical. We can't guarantee all the other, like providing them with food and stuff. We try to do the very best we can, but it's so limited. When a child is sponsored, all that is guaranteed. They're guaranteed to have medical care. They're guaranteed to have, because someone is pouring into their lives. But the one thing we didn't want to compromise on is the education offered to a sponsored and not sponsored child, such that the other ones don't feel like, well, we are left out because we are not sponsored. Education is something at least we try to make even across the board, because it's a very important, gift to them all.
Because it's not guaranteed in Uganda.
It's not guaranteed. Here in the US, you have to pay.
Yeah,
you have to pay. It's expensive. There is no like free school. Even the government one time attempted to do the free school, public school, and make them free. It just didn't go right. And then we still have a few schools that are quote unquote free, but they're not really actually free. And theoretically, they're free, but they have to still, when you go to report to the school, they'll ask you, okay, well, you're not paying tuition, but you have to bring such and such and such. And if you were to accumulate all the amount, it's
Like a
tuition.
Yeah.
It is even tuition, or at times more than a tuition. So in a sense, there isn't free education. And as a result, so many have to stay back. So we try as much as possible, at least to provide essentially the educational opportunity to children. In fact, if you'll allow me to, we have a student right now who's been in the program ever since he was 6. He's now in flying school. His name is Tony. He came in the choir in 2013. You might have met him, Corey. We have another boy who got a scholarship to South Methodist University. He's top of his class studying mechanical engineering.
Who is that?
Morris Kakembo.
Okay.
And he was a drummer, the big chubby
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And he's right now pursuing his degree. And locally here we have a student who is currently the president, that I believe, if I'm saying it right, president of the student body of Indian River State College. His name is Eric. He was also in the program. His father died when he was 6 years old, died of HIV/AIDS, and Eric was rescued, has been helped through the program. He was gifted at singing. We brought him in the choir. He traveled the U.S., but he had sponsor who sponsored him. And currently, so these children, when they look at stories of like Morris, we even have girls who are currently pursuing to be doctors in India. They're in really these wonderful universities. So they look at this and they're like, or if this is a person who has the same story as I, and they've been able, right now they're training to be a pilot, right now training to be an engineer.
Yeah, it's
maybe
not,
I could be that.
you guys are a Christian organization, but you're not just raising up ministers.
No.
I mean, you're raising lawyers and
Citizens of the
pilots
world.
and
Exactly.
doctors.
Exactly.
You know?
And
Adults.
being a Christian organization, the thing about us is we work with people from all backgrounds, and we don't even require a profession of faith to help them. You know, we want to help, because if someone is in need, they're in need regardless of what they believe in. My father has a statement that he uses, that the gospel of works supersedes the gospel of words. 100%. At times, the acts of kindness is what has caused men to want to know this person. You know, guys, why do you do this? What's really? I mean, what's in for you? What are you doing this? And then you get the opportunity to share with them.
And what type of Christian are you if you're willing to turn people away?
Exactly. I mean,
and I understand at some point, you know, speaking about the sponsorship and stuff like that, like at some point there gets to be a point where the money's all that there is. Like you have to turn, you know, I mean, it is what it is. You can't take away so much from the other ones that nobody's getting anything at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But it's certainly.
How do you sponsor a child?
So there are ways you can do it. When you go to our website right now, which is Imanimilele.com, you'll spell it out sometime. We'll spell it out.
Yeah.
But
Sam will spell it out.
I will spell it out.
Spell it.
Please
Go ahead.
do.
Spell it out.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
Okay,
right now.
it's Imani. That's Imani. The Milele is Milele. IMANIMILELE.com.
Okay.
When you go right there on the homepage, you have the opportunity to sponsor, and then you can even learn more about the organization.
Now, you guys have YouTube videos at the choir too, right?
Yes, we have YouTube.
Yes.
When you go on YouTube,
Which
and
your
you
production
type in-
value has gone way up. Sam. Okay,
So you've seen us evolve.
Listen, yes,
I like the
I've
word.
seen I've seen the 2013 videos,
Yes.
and I've seen the 2019 videos, and they're completely different. all
It's
right?
like our first
That
podcast
is-
and this one.
Now
Thank you.
They are
Thank you that
they're
you're saying
excellent.
the progression.
Both, but you can definitely
Well, I
tell
think
your production
They're
value is.
excellent for their time.
Yeah.
Like, so you've been able to evolve
Yeah.
with the time. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Corey, I feel like, is a YouTube connoisseur, so I think his
Yes.
stamp of approval goes a long way.
Would it be so horrible, like you're having the same old production, the same old
Yeah.
quality of things?
Yes.
So we try to be progressive in a
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah.
what we do. I mean, we're not still yet there, but we strive to always
Always getting
improve
better,
on
yeah.
our operation.
Now, Have you ever listened to a podcast before, Sam?
No, I've never.
Okay. Do you know in Uganda if they listen to any podcasts?
I am not sure.
Okay. So, Sam, can you say that we'll be the #1 podcast in Uganda then? Maybe when you go back and share this interview?
I definitely will have to.
Okay.
I will definitely have to.
So we're gonna just
and I'm
we're
serious
just gonna
about
start claiming that we're the number one podcast in
100%.
Uganda.
Absolutely, you should.
I feel like I'm
Because
gonna
you
do some
already have
research
an
on that. I'm not
audience.
sure.
At least you have an audience.
Yes.
You have me. And if there is no Ugandan, who has ever heard of a podcast, then I am. But I know, I'm sure that they've heard of podcasts,
Yeah.
but I just hadn't
Yeah.
yet.
Definitely. So, Sam, we like to end this with kind of getting some advice from you. So, the question that we end with is based on your experiences in life. What is something that you could give to our listeners that you feel like you live by, that you like to share with them?
Contentment. Being content. Throughout my experience and what I've seen, and given even the kind of work that I do, I see that as a people in this generation, in this dispensation, we are very ambitious, and which is all beautiful, because ambition helps us accomplish so much. Where would America be if there wasn't ambition and drive and all that? But also the flip side of that is you've seen people who haven't hit maybe their goals and they feel like it's the end of the world, or if they haven't had such and such a thing, they feel so frustrated. And it's as if our minds are now really moving to what can I get next? What can I get next? Which is great to always have the next goal, the next thing. But when you get in the bug of that, forgive me for using this phrase, but in Uganda, when I'm sharing with my friends, I say you end up being a slave of a goal instead of being a master of a goal.
Yeah.
Whereby you're having to chase instead of you being in a place where you're like, okay, things are not doing great, but I am still in control of my life. It's all right. I got this. I know I don't have a next meal tomorrow, but it will work out. I'm going to think, I'm going to have a clear mind and be able to plan out how I move from this, I move over or around this mountain, but I'm going to move forward. But when we are having the mind of what I call the mind of a slave to our goal, when you encounter challenges right there, it's easy to get blurred in your sight. It's easy to lose vision. And so when you are content, even when things are not well, there is a peace. I think what the Bible says, peace in the midst of the storm that surpasses human understanding, that doesn't reconcile with the understanding. How can you be having a horrible day but be peaceful? So at times it takes God, and also you being, just being, cool and being optimistic that, it will work out.
Yeah.
When that mind is clear and you have control of it, and I think you can clearly maneuver through the challenges without saying, okay, I don't have this, so wild is, and that's what at times unfortunately causes some men to take their lives. It's sad.
Yeah.
Some men, can't really take the difficulty of not having
They become a
achieved
slave to
something
things,
or
yeah.
something.
The pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure.
Yeah.
Sam, I tell you what, that resonates with me for sure.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on. I think from growing out of the shade of a mango tree to getting to over 40 states, here and sharing your story and everybody and all your kids having one story. I'm very grateful for you coming on and sharing that, because it really
Thank you for giving
resonates with me.
Where can they find you, Sam?
I know you gave us the website already, but I know you're all over the place. So where else?
Tomorrow, actually, tomorrow, which is
Well, let's skip that because this won't be out by tomorrow. But you'll be back in November.
yeah, in November
2020.
2020, the choir will be back. If
In
you
Florida.
go on, in Florida, they're
Sam.
coming back in Florida.
Sam,
and if you go,
I'll have the pork ribs perfected by then.
thank you.
Mark it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
But when people go on our website, they can see where the choir is,
And
and
where
they
they're gonna
can
be
find me
performing.
there, and they can come and see and experience,
Yes.
the beauty of the African rhythms, the
Yes.
sounds, and
Absolutely.
stories.
If it's
and
something
all
that you've never seen before, you got to check it out. For
It
sure.
is a phenomenal show.
Also, you're on social media. You're on Facebook.
Yes, when they go to Facebook and type in Imanimilele Children or Imanimilele Choir, it should lead them to our page.
What about Instagram?
Even Instagram? We're on Instagram.
Twitter?
We have a Twitter page. We have.
Who handles all this for you?
I handle it. I multitask.
God bless you, because the three of us can't handle our
No.
our
I multitask, but
Yes.
someday God will bring me even someone who is even better. I wish to.
Well, when you find
relinquish
them, let us
this
know about them.
to help out.
we wish to relinquish.
yeah, Instagram.
No, yeah, we enjoy it, but it certainly I feel your pain because it is a lot of work to put out content on all the social media platforms.
I never realized. Who would have known in the 1990s that there would come such a thing as social media?
Yeah.
that you
Well,
would
we'd be a lot richer now if we did.
exactly.
100%. Now, Sam, do you want to give everybody a taste of your sound?
So I personally, let me try
Man,
something.
he put you on the spot.
Yeah,
didn't he?
he actually did.
Yeah,
He
he
actually
did.
Sam, well, here's the thing: is that I've been thinking about this whole time. Like, man, this guy came on and made it sound like crap.
No.
He's like, I'm gonna get him back. Okay.
No. I cut it out.
Yeah. let me sing a piece in our language.
Please, sure.
Okay. Twesimienyo, ora Buganda yafe, echitiwa cha Buganda chava. Da na fe tuchikumenga bana abataka mujatgendetri gengabi abataka mujatgendetri. Come on, club. abataka mujatgendetri gengabi. Yeah.
Woo, that's awesome.
What lyric? That was a song we used to sing when we like. I didn't do it, but ancient Africa, Uganda, they would sing that song when they're going to hunt. So it meant like they would play the drum routine, and then they call the community while singing the song, like, let's go hunt for food. Let's go hunt for food. Abataka.
So it's like a hunting
means
song.
community members. Together to Gabi means let's go hunt.
Like rise
for-
them up and let's go find
Exactly.
it. Okay.
It was like the.
Oh, I'm in. Sam, when
Yeah,
you come back in November, we
love
got to
that.
do this again.
Thank you. I'll be here.
Yeah. I would love to have you
Maybe
back
I'll
on.
bring even a little
And
more.
listen, we're just saying it now. We're gonna barbecue for the whole choir.
That is good.
100%.
I'm
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
When I say I'm in, I'm in for Larry and Tom cooking. But
Yeah.
I'll help. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever else I can do.
He'll
And
pitch
maybe you never know if it works out. We could even probably have like 4 kids who can give
Please
you some
do.
African sound
Yes.
and
Okay.
a cappella.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would love to have you back on because honestly, I feel like I could talk to you forever.
I feel like, there's
Yeah.
so much more there that
Oh
we
my
haven't gotten
God.
to.
Yeah. You have a ton of stories. You know,
I'm grateful
Yeah.
for the opportunity that you have.
We're grateful that you
afforded
came
me.
on.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
absolutely.
much.
Truly
Thanks
are.
so much.
God bless you.
All right, you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns? You can email us at fullgorillalife@gmail.com.
If you want to see what's going on social media, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Full Gorilla Life and on Twitter at Gorilla Full with 2 L's.
and please don't forget to visit our website, fullgorilla.life, and hit subscribe on your podcast app of choice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. Thanks for listening.
Later.